Meat was probably not a regular part of the diet. There's some disagreement on this, but meat was expensive and animals were largely used for things like wool and milk and labor and not for meat. You would have meat at Passover, you might have meat at a feast, but if you're poor, that might be the only time of the year that you can afford to eat meat. Fish was more common because the Sea of Galilee was right there, but the farther you got from the water, probably the less likely it was that you had much fish in your diet. Wine, there were multiple grades of wine. The expensive stuff probably got shipped off and sold. You drank the lower quality wine. And in those days, wine was always diluted, somewhere between 2 and 4 to 1. So that lowered the alcohol content and expanded you could buy a liter of wine and make 3 liters out of it. And people drank wine. They also drank beer in those days. Beer was brewed because the alcohol in it killed microorganisms in the water. So that was a common part of your diet, was wine for that reason. Another thing they did was they'd get these fish sauces. When they salted fish, one of the ways of doing it was you'd put fish in a barrel and a layer of salt and a layer of fish and a layer of salt and a layer of fish and put a weight on it, and it would squeeze it down, and the juice that would run out of there they'd make a fish sauce out of, and gradually the fish would dry out and you'd end up with salted fish. But the fish sauce was called garum, and it was hugely popular in the Roman Empire. So you probably ate a fair amount of fish sauce. And then you had fruit in season to supplement your diet: figs, dates, pomegranates. It's the land of milk and honey, but it's now believed that when they talk about honey, they actually meant date honey and not bee honey. So dates can make this, sort of sugary substance. And figs are also sugary, so they got a lot of calories from that as well. Olive oil is an interesting process. If you find a place where an olive press is excavated, you'll always find 3 stone weights. And the reason for that is olives were pressed 3 times. And the first pressing you'd put 1 weight, there was a beam, and then a thing that pressed down into the olives. For the first pressing, you'd put 1 weight on, and you'd get the best oil out of it. For the second pressing, you'd put 2 weights on, and for the third pressing, you'd put on 3. So the best stuff, again, probably got sold. The second pressing was what you used for your own dietary, to eat and to put in your cooking. The third grade was what you used for oil lamps. That was your only source of light in your house, was lamps lit by olive oil. And so the dregs went into the lamps. Vegetables, interestingly, were scorned. They were not big on vegetables those days, and neither was the Roman Empire. So in all the lists of foods that the Israelites ate, lettuce and stuff like that is just not there. They'll eat pulses like lentils, but not really part of the diet, so very grain-heavy diet. So that's a little bit on how Israelites ate.